All right, guys, welcome back. We took a long break away from the NSE4 prep session. Okay, so we left off at section 2 of the security portion of the NSE4, right, where we were going through the security fabric section, right? We did, we had a lab day. We showed you guys how security fabric looks, right? The minimum requirements as far as deploying it, how it looks. Now we're going to talk a little bit about theory as far as extending the security fabric and features and going over security fabric ratings in the topology view. Okay, let's roll. So what are the objectives, right? The objectives we are going to go through. Give me 1 second. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Let me fix that. There we go. All right, you guys can see me?
Yep.
Okay. Second. Having some technical difficulties. All right. There we go. Windows. Thanks, Windows. Let's move this up. Okay. All right, can you guys see me?
Yep. I can see.
All right. All right, good. All right, so we're good. All right, so we're good to go. Meeting should not be paused. We should be good to go. All right, so again, we're gonna go ahead and start going through extending the security fabric and features. We showed you guys how to deploy it, so let's go ahead and run through it, right? So some of the objectives we're trying to achieve is to, 1, extend the security fabric across your network. 2, understand automation stitches and threat responses. By the way, I have story time for automation stitch because I actually took down a network with the MSP on Friday. So we'll talk about that. Configure external connectors, right? And understand the security fabric status switches, okay? So we've talked about all the products that Fortinet has to offer, right? We've talked about FortiManager. We talked about FortiAnalyzer, right? There's other products we haven't talked about. We have FortiMail, FortiWeb, FortiEMS, right? We have FortiSandbox. All of these things extend the fabric that you're trying to weave to protect your network from a security standpoint, okay? Right? So again, Fortinet, if you meet with a either a value-added reseller that's going to give you guys recommendations, they're going to say, hey, use FortiManager, right, for centralized management, right, for your Fortigate, access to devices or what have you from one single pane of glass, as they like to call it. You can go ahead and implement a FortiSwitch, right? You can implement a FortiAP to extend that security fabric and manage it from a FortiManager or a Fortigate that's going to be the root in the security fabric, okay? So you can do all these things, right, to go ahead and extend your security fabric. Because again, what is the goal that we're trying to attack? We're trying to attack network security, right? And we're not going to do it like back in the day, not just, put a firewall at the edge of the network and that's it, right? We have to worry about outside and inside out, right? And threats on the inside. So we have to make sure we extend it, we configure everything that we need to do, and we make sure we have a fully weaved security fabric, okay? So let's talk about automation stitches and how I took down a network, right? So first things first, right? Automation stitches are amazing, right? They can be used to go ahead and configure some type of programming in a sense, right? FortiOS programming, right? To go ahead and have them either A, respond to an event, right? By you pre-programming, or just perform an event, right? By you creating that stitch. Maybe my Kivia wants to go ahead and reboot, an ADF every 90 days, right? You can put an automated stitch, right? Has that to go ahead and do so, right? So it's programming within the Fortinet, FortiOS to go ahead and do that. There are event triggers you can go ahead and set up, like you guys see, and you get those options of, okay, what do you want to happen, right? It's set up as if it's a if then, if you guys are familiar with programming a little bit. So like on a Boolean or what have you. So real important thing that you would need to know is that you can configure the minimum interval in seconds, right? To make sure, if my Kivia pushes maybe enable this policy, right, between 7 p.m. and 12 a.m., right, to allow backups to an offsite shore because we have a geo-block policy, she can go ahead and create that. That minimum interval, right? What it does, it says, all right, if I did it and I let the admin know that it has been performed, right? If my Kivia doesn't approve, right, the notification that it's happened, the automation stitch can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and, perform this stitch again, right? And you're getting alerts. It's tagging up your hard drive, it's tagging up your RAM. So a lot of things can happen, right? And it's simple things like that. You would think that an event notification would not tear up the device, but it can, right? Also, last but not least, all of us are not perfect. We are not, everybody's learning. So it takes a while to learn how to use automation stitches. So they do have some predefined stitches that you can use. Once you get comfortable and you edit, you break some things, you fix some things, you can actually start to create your own automation stitch. Okay. Now, with automation, right, you have the ability to go ahead and go into the automation section of the security fabric and set up an automated threat response. Okay. And so what you can do is you can go ahead and configure, what am I going to do, right, if my security fabric detects a compromised host, right? Donovan can go ahead and say, all right, I want to go ahead and create a trigger for a compromised host, right? He's looking at the threat level threshold. He's looking at the MAC address, looking at all of that. He can automate it to the point to where it'll quarantine the device via MAC address. He can ban the IP. He can perform all of these things and get a notification back to the NOC or the SOC and say, hey, this happened. I went ahead and performed the action. And I'm going to go ahead and log it to FortiAnalyzer if I have my security fabric fully weaved up, because at minimum, I need 2 FortiGates and a FortiAnalyzer, right? So FortiAnalyzer is going to go ahead and log that indicator of compromise. So they're going to be able to see all of this automated, okay? Great stuff from the automation section in security fabric. So play with it. You can really do this in your lab if you have a VM, or if you have a couple of FortiGates, or with just one FortiGate, you can test out doing automated threat response. Do it with a Kali Linux box or what have you. Okay. Of course, this is going over. You can go ahead and set up getting push notifications. So you can do that. You can integrate it with your FortiCloud account. So we won't go over the boring stuff here. Okay. Now, external connectors. We are in a world where some environments, right, they have tenants within the cloud, right? They have services that they host there, save costs for whatever reason that they do. Fortinet has picked up on the state and the nature of tech. And so they said, hey, we need to go ahead and support different cloud, cloud services, cloud providers, et cetera, right? So you do have the ability to go ahead and connect to AWS, right? Azure, right? Google Cloud, etc. And they have even, and at the time of this writing, right, it's only those 10 that you see. They actually expanded it even more when you upgrade to 7.4.0 code. So they're doing great stuff. So you're able to integrate your device to that, right? You know, the great thing is, like, in a ACI infrastructure, right? That connector, right? The SDN connector serves as the gateway for bridging SDN controllers and the FortiGate. Okay. And so, without getting too complex, I don't want you guys to focus so much on the cloud at this sense. But what it does is that the FortiGate can register itself with the cloud, right? And weave, even though it's not on the same network, weave these services right into its security fabric. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Of course, you guys logged into a FortiGate, right? When you first log into a FortiGate, you go ahead and you see a whole bunch of widgets on your dashboard, right? If you go ahead and configure a security fabric, there will be a security fabric widget, right? And so it'll show you just a visual summary, right? Summary of what devices you have in your fabric. You can hover over a status. You can hover over the devices like you guys see in the screenshot, right? Devices in blue, of course, it'll tell you devices that are connecting your network, right? Devices in gray, it'll tell you, right? And let's look at that, right? If you guys look at FP, if we're looking at the screenshot, FP221, that's an AP, right? Anything that's gray is going to tell you it's an unauthorized device that's connected in your network, right? So Donovan or Mykevia, right, or Angelot has not authorized this device, but yet it's connected, and the FortiGate, the security fabric, has detected it, right? So it's letting you know, hey, we know this is an AP. We need you to perform some action. Okay. It'll give you, it'll show you, give you a attention icon. Maybe one of your, devices within your fabric you need attention. You will have that as well. Okay. So widget is a helpful tool whenever you log in to go ahead and manage your security fabric. Okay. With that being said, as always, we are going to do a knowledge check. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, right? And each question is going to have 2 answers, right? 2 possible answers, right? And so I'm going to read them off to you, all right? And anybody can answer however you want, right? So I'm going to read the first question. Question 1, why should an administrator extend the security fabric to other devices? Is it A, to provide a single pane of glass for management and reporting purposes? Or B, to eliminate the need to purchase licenses for FortiGate devices in the security fabric?
B.
Wow. B?
That was
You
right.
saying is it B?
Is to,
It's A,
so,
right?
so I'll read B again.
Okay.
So to eliminate the need to purchase licenses for FortiGate devices in the security fabric?
Oh shit. Wait, say A again. My bad.
Sure. So A is to provide a single pane of glass for management, right, of these devices.
Oh, A. It's A.
Okay.
My
All right.
bad.
All right. You're good. You're good. We don't want to have in our environment unlicensed products. We don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said A. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
You said B or you said A?
She said A. She said A.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my God, wait. Oh.
All right. So question 2. What is the purpose of a security fabric external connectors? Is it A, external connectors allow you to integrate multi-cloud support, right, with the security fabric? Or is it B, external connectors allow you to connect to the FortiGate command line?
It's A.
A.
There we go. All right. Let's keep going. So
Okay.
next we are going to discuss the rating, service, and topology view. And with this, right, I could go ahead and tell you, this is used, but it is used in a sense to where it has frequent as a, if your team does report review or You guys do your own internal audits, maybe monthly, right? To see what's the status of your network or what have you. Okay. So yes, you know this for your exam, but I know you guys also, you guys also may deal with Fortigate in your environment. So the rating service, whenever I go over this section, I know it's going to be a lot of stuff, but it's very helpful because, of course, you can see, maybe we need to go ahead and tackle this zone or that zone, right? The devices in there, we need to take a look at it, etc. Right? So what are the objectives we're going to go ahead and tackle today within this section? It's 1, understand the security fabric rating service. 2, view and run the Fortinet security rating service. And 3, understand the differences between physical and logical topology views. Okay, so as you guys learned about FortiGuard, right? Security rating it works right under that, right? It's a subscription service, right? That requires a license. Okay, and so what happens is this service alone, it gives you what I want to call it, a best practice for your environment, right? It's checking, it's doing a scan of everything, right? And it's checking passwords, right? Are passwords strong, right? It's doing an audit, it's checking that posture, right? How are you looking from a security standpoint? Your fabric, how interweaved is your fabric, right? Do you have your security fabric built, but we detected an Arctic wolf, right? Logging server that you haven't integrated within your, security fabric. Let's go ahead and include that within your fabric. Let's make sure we're touching each corner of your network of the different zones. Okay. It's also going to give you a, best practices of optimization, right? And again, it's going to be those 3 scorecards like you guys see in the screenshot: security posture, fabric coverage, and optimization, right? You're going to get a grade, letter grade. It's going to give you guys detailed report of, breakdowns and what to, what goal, and give you guys a recommended goals of compliance that you guys need to reach. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Right. And so how do you get to, take a look at your rating, right? You can go ahead and click on security fabric, go to security rating, and you'll click on security posture, right? And you'll go ahead and take a look at it. It'll go ahead and show you, your rating per percentile, right? Using a security audit, right? And you guys are probably thinking, it's giving us a percentile, but what is that data based on? Well, that data is not based on data that you configured. This is based on FortiGuard, right? Right. You guys may have, architecture built the way that you want to build, but FortiGuard is going to give you its recommendation. Use its data to go ahead and say, this isn't up to par, right? Based on Fortinet, but it may be up to par to you. So I would recommend use a team, work together, examine some of the best practices, because some of their practices may be great recommendations, some of them may not, right? So how does these security ratings work, right? You can go ahead and still operate day-to-day operations. These security audits, they just run in the background. Okay. So it's not just on demand, right? So whenever you log on, right? Let's say my Keyville logs on, right? You get into the GUI, you get to the page, it's going to show you the last saved audit that happened. Okay. All right. But yes, in the GUI, you can go ahead and run, audits manually. You go ahead and click that button. It'll run it. You can save it. You can go ahead and take a look at it. Okay. It'll show you, of course, results. Results of either failed or passed audits, so you can see all of that, right? So it gives you a lot of information, right? It may be information overload. That's why I typically like to recommend schedule to look at this maybe at a monthly, bi-monthly, depending on the type of environment that you work in. Just to examine, some results that may share. They may share, again, enforcing password security. They may share applying, recommended login attempt thresholds, right? They may share encouraging to MFA, right? and a whole bunch more, right? But this is the great thing about this service, okay? And of course, right, once you enable the service and you have the license, right, you'll go ahead and start to get notifications, right, of any little service, right? If you guys look at the screenshot, right, let's say, because we configured it before, you configured trusted hosts, meaning that you're limiting the subnet, right? You're limiting logins per username by subnet, right? And it'll give you recommendations and say, Marquita, you should go ahead and enable 2MFA2 for this service, right? And this is just an example, but it'll go ahead and dissect your environment, your FortiGates, and say, hey, here's some recommendations. Okay. Maybe it'll go ahead and tell you, maybe you want to go ahead and disable HTTP, or we want to go ahead and enable HTTPS, but use a different port number, right? Maybe you want to change the SSH port number. It'll do all these things, right? So just wanted to let you guys know about how those notifications work, okay? And of course, like I told you guys, there's some things that you can do in the GUI, some things that you can do in the CLI, and some things you can do in both, right? Let's say, right, you're getting these scores, right? You're liking the service, you're liking the demo, but it is, it's not to your liking, and you want to go ahead and disable security checks and do things, manually or do it on schedule, right? You can actually enable, right, the FortiGate to go ahead and run on schedule by getting to the CLI and enabling this via global configuration mode. Okay, right? And what will happen, and of course, it's going to go ahead and do exactly what I said before. It's going to run these reports, obtain analysis from FortiGuard, right? It's going to go ahead and compare the security score with the industry, right? Because that data is going to be pulled from every FortiGate, right? All Fortinet customers. It's going to be pulled into FortiGuard labs and then be compared with who has like the strongest, right, security posture. It's going to say, hey, based on the 20,000 FortiGates we have out in the wild, right? And we did a analysis on all of them. This is how you compare, right? But this is why I told you guys, right? You need to examine it as a team, because maybe your architecture and your security practices are good for your environment. Doesn't mean you don't have to have it set up for like similar to maybe how the government is or how Amazon is, or et cetera, et cetera. Okay. You're going to get this score, you're going to get this rating, right? Just like I told you guys before, it's can only be shown, right, and seen on the root FortiGate of the security fabric. Okay. All right. And on that root FortiGate, you can go ahead and get that report pulled down, generated, right? And again, examine it by, examine it with the team or by yourself. It's going to show you guys per industry, per region, right? And show you guys per the size of your organization. So it's really powerful, right? It's really powerful. Now, some of the fun stuff within the GUI, right? Topology views, right? If you enable, right, you're enabling the rating service and stuff like that. One other feature that comes with it is that you can use the feature called physical topology, right, and see unauthorized devices. And from there, you can go ahead and authorize it, right? Authorize devices, right? Maybe like a FortiSwitch or FortiAP. You can ban or unban, right? Indicators of compromise, right? Maybe you have a PC and it's like, all right, we quarantined you, but you're fine. You can go ahead and do this from the physical topology view, right? You can log into other FortiGates, right? You can deauthorize different FortiGates. So there's a lot of things you can do from physical topology. It's a little bit easier, and one of the things I like about it is from the physical topology, you can see how everything is connected, right? Maybe we have that root FortiGate, but we have FortiGates and FortiSwitches that are downstream to that, right? And maybe you log into the FortiGate, get to the dashboard, and you see an unauthorized FortiAP, going to the physical topology, you can see where that is actually connected, where that hangs off of. Okay, so pretty sweet tool. Pretty sweet tool. Here's another screenshot of how the physical topology looks and comparing that to the logical topology. Okay. Me personally, I would have named it different, but whatever, because of course the logical topology is actually telling you what port you're hanging off of, et cetera, et cetera. But Fortinet is the genius. You guys can know this for the exam, right? The physical topology is giving you a visualization of the access layer devices in the security fabric, right? And the logical topology is giving you information about the interfaces that each device in the security fabric connects to. Okay, so I want you guys to make sure you understand that. All right. With that being said, we have finished section 2. All right, and we're going to end off with a short quiz. Right, 2 questions. Each question has 2 possible answers, and I'm going to read them off for you. All right. Question 1. Which one is part of the security rating scorecard? Is it A, firewall policy, or is it B, optimization?
Is it optimization?
There we go. All right. Somebody's been paying attention. Question 2. From which view can an administrator deauthorize a device from the security fabric? Is it A, from the physical topology view, or is it B, from the Forti view?
Is it A?
A.
There we go. It is A. Well, you guys did great. With that being said, right, you guys have finished section 2. I'm just going to go ahead and go through a list of what I need you guys to review. All right, let me bring this over. Let's exit out this PowerPoint. Let's bring this over and let's look at this as a team. Okay. These are the things you guys need to review to fully understand what a security fabric is. Take a screenshot, right? Then I'll go ahead and read them off for you, right? You need to be able to define the Fortinet security fabric. So again, go back, read the security guide, right? Watch over the videos. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. We don't cover everything that is written down. Make sure you look at other resources, maybe other YouTubes, FortiTip, right? FortiGuru. They do great as far as explaining some of these things, probably better than me, right? Look at your security guide 10 times over, right? Also, review, identify why the security fabric is required. Identify the Fortinet devices that participate in the fabric, especially the essential ones. Understand how to implement a security fabric. Configure the security fabric on the root, right? And downstream FortiGates, right? Understand how device detection works. Understand how to extend your existing security fabric. Understand how to extend the security fabric across your network, right? Understand automation stitches and threat responses. Configure fabric connectors, right? Understand the security fabric status widgets, right? Understand the security fabric rating centers. View and run the security rating centers. Understand the differences between the physical and logical topology views. Now, with that being said, remember, some of these services, like the security fabric rating service, require a license. I don't expect you guys in your home labs, right, or your VMs that you may be practicing on, to buy a license. To understand that you can, I wouldn't recommend it. What you can do is actually read the material, and it should suffice. But just make sure you understand it, right? Find a YouTube, find a FortiGate SME, subject matter expert, on the web. Read their articles about that. It is out here. This is what helped me pass the exam. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to give you guys some time back, right? Give you guys 30 minutes back, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
All righty. Thanks, David.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
You have a great day.
David. Take care, guys. Bye.